I think I'm live. Sweet. All right, so this is my first live ever, so bear with me. And it is going to be specifically over the ACT practice test, which, if you want to follow along with me, this can be found at act.org. Otherwise, it's down in the description box below, the link for it. So this is directly pulled from the ACT website. So these are very good sample questions for what you're going to see when you take the ACT. So as we go through this, if you want to comment what you think the answer is, go for it. I love that. The more participation, the better. But I'm not expecting a whole lot since this is my first one. But just so you guys know, I will be doing this every Monday evening from 5 to 6 p.m. Mountain Time, so 6 to 7 Central Time, or 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I think I got that all right. So in those live sessions, I'm hoping to have more people because I will have this trial one out of the way to where you guys can ask what questions you want to see me do, and I'll do them right there. So it's basically like a free live tutor session. Anything 5th through 12th grade math, I am good to cover. So let me just wait a little bit here, make sure it's live. Okay, I am. Cool. I was supposed to have my trial run a few weeks ago and it didn't happen, and then I just kept pushing it back. And we just need to get it done and see how it goes, so that we can do more of these in the future. Okay, so as you can see here, we have the ACT from act.org. 60 questions to be answered in 60 minutes. And how this is split up, I'll show you guys real quick, is there are 5 sets, and then each set has 12 questions each. So just like the real thing, a total of 60 questions. We're not gonna get through all of them in the 60 minutes, I doubt. We'll see how many we get through, but if there is a specific one you want to see, like say you're looking through set 5 and you're like, "I'd really like to know how to do, um, number 1 from set 5." I can skip forward and do. So if there is a specific problem from this you would like to see, please let me know. Otherwise, I do have videos for each one of these sets linked down in the description box below as well. So feel free to use those. Okay, let's go ahead and get started on set 1. So we have car averages 27 miles per gallon. It cost 404 per gallon. Which of the following is the closest to how much gas would cost to travel 2,727 miles? Okay, so if you want to try this problem on your own, go for it. And then comment A, B, C, D, or E what you think the answer is. How I'm going to be doing this is I'm going to talk you through how I would work this out. If it's something that I need to show, I'm going to write it out on my iPad and show it that way. In the future, I'm hoping there's the option to just stream my iPad screen. We're working on that and we will see, because that would be ideal. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this. So we're wanting to travel a total of 2,727 miles. So that's the number I'm going to start with in my calculator, 2,727. And your car averages 27 miles per gallon. So if you want to figure out, we know how many total miles. If we want to know how many gallons we're going to end up having to buy, we want to divide that 27 to figure out how many gallons we need. Right now we have miles. We want to figure out gallons. So if we divide that by 27, we're finding out that we would need 101 gallons of gas, which then to find the cost, it's $4.04 per gallon. So we take that $4.04 times the amount of gallons, which is 101. So 404 times 101, we are getting 804. So option D. All right. And the good thing about this also that I didn't mention is if you're doing this on your own, you can go through, pick what the answers are, and hit answer, and it will tell you if you get them right or not. So that is if you want to go back and do this, look at this more on your own lead. It will give you if you got it right or not, and then if you want more explanation, again, those videos are down in the description box. Okay, let's move on to 2. So when x is 3, y is 5, by how much does the value of 3x squared minus 2y exceed the value of 2x squared minus 3y? So my first step is going to be to take these two expressions. So we have the first one is 3x squared minus 2y, and I'm going to evaluate them. So they tell us what x and y are. I'm going to plug those in. So we have 3 times x squared, which they tell us x is 3, minus 2 times our y, which they tell us our y is 5, which then 3 squared is 9, times 3 is 27, minus 2 times 5 is 10. So we get 17 for that first expression. And then we will do the second. So 2x squared again, our x is 3, so 3 squared minus 3 times our y, which is 5. So this time we have our 3 squared, which is 9, times 2, which gives us 18, minus our 3 times 5, which gives us 15, and 18 minus 15 gets us 3. We got an answer of 17 and an answer of 3, but we want to know how much it exceeds it. So how much larger is it? So we're going to have to subtract those. 17 minus 3. Let me show you what my board looks like here. 17 minus that 3, we end up with 14, option G. Awesome. Moving down to number 3, what is the value of x when 2x plus 3 equals 3x minus 4? So they want us to solve this one. Okay. So when we have x on both sides like that, we want to get it so that our x's or our variables are on one side, and then our constants or our numbers are on the other side of the equation. So we have 2x plus 3. Let's see if I can hold this like a word and see how that works out. We're gonna try. This is also on like inverted, so it confuses me which way I need to go. Okay, this is how we have. We want to get our x's on one side and our variables on the other. So I'm going to subtract off that 2x, and then you have to do that to both sides of your equation. So I'm going to do minus 2x to both sides of my equation. I did that because now that 2x is going to cancel out, and I'm going to be left with just 3 over there. And then 3x minus 2x is just an x, or 1x, minus 4. All right, one-step equation. To get rid of that minus 4, we have to add 4 to both sides. To get that, our is 7. Option E. Okay. Number 4. What is the greatest common factor of 42, 126, and 210? So factor is something they can all divisible by, basically. Which the first number I would try would be the smallest number out of the group, which is 42. 42 is divisible by 42. 126 divided by 42 is 3, whole number, so it's also divisible. And then 210 divided by 42. Whoops, I did times. 210 divided by 42 gets us 5. So again, a whole number, it is divisible. So all three things are divisible by 42. So the greatest common factor, yes, they might all be divisible by these other things as well, but the greatest thing that you can divide all of them by is J. Okay. Moving down to 5, sales for a business were $3 million more the second year than the first, and sales for the third year were double the sales for the second year. If sales for the third year were $38 million, what were sales in millions of dollars for the first year? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm a visual learner. I'm going to write this out. So we have 3 years, right? We have our first year, we have our second year in business, and we have our third year. So they tell us the third year is 38 million. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in. What else do they tell us? That it was $3 million more the second than the first. So from the first to the second, it was plus 3 mil. And sales for the third year were double the sales of the second year. So to go from the second to third, we had to double. Okay, let me show you guys what this is looking like. Okay, so we're gonna now work backwards, right? So no, the third year is 38 mil. And to get there from the second year, we had to multiply by 2. So to get back there, we're going to divide by 2. 38 divided by 2 would get us 9 million. Remember, we year was just plus 3 mil from the first year. So if we take off 3 million, that would put us at 16 million for our first year, which is option A. All right. We've got some rays here, and they're marked equidistance and the compass, and they're also equidistant. So what do we know about this angle and this angle? If they're equidistant, that means they are equal. Okay, let's move over this way. Number 7. Okay. Thank you. I am just testing it out because I've never gone live on YouTube before. So I'm just seeing similarities and differences and all that good stuff. Okay, so number 7 here, we have an equation given to us. Whenever you have a long problem like this, look for the equation, all right? Pumping out a mine that is 150 feet deep, which D is representing how deep it is. So I'm gonna just plug in. That's all we have to do is just plug in. All right, so we have D squared, which remember they're saying D is representing how many feet deep, which they tell us is 150. So we have 150 squared over 25 plus 4 times our distance or our deepness, which is 150, minus 250. Right, so here is my equation with, instead of D, we plugged in our value, which is 150. Right, from here, you can use your calculator. Make sure you do order of operations. So we will take the exponent first, which is 22,500, but then we have that divided by 25, which is 900. Then that next little part is 4 times 150, which is 600. And then that minus 250. That looks like. All right, so I just simplified my exponent and division down. I multiplied, and now I'm just left with add and subtract, so I can just do it from left to right. 900 plus 600 is 1,500, minus 250 is 1,250, so looking like option D. Number 8. The length in inches of a box is 3 inches less than twice its width. In inches, I had to think about that. Which of the following gives length in terms of the width of the box? Okay, so our length is 3 inches less than twice its width. So we have to take its width times 2 and then take away 3 from that, minus 3. So that is looking like option J. Right? To get our length, we're going to double our width and subtract 3 from it. Okay. Here we have PS and QR are parallel. So that means there's a couple different ways you can look at it. Either these two angles are going to be congruent, or this 70-degree angle and this are going, wait a second, you're going to have to equal 180. What's PS and QR are parallel lines? Yeah, so they would have to equal 180 together. So that would give us option D. Right? How many irrational numbers are between 1 and 6? There's infinitely many numbers, right? There's 1.01, 1.001, 1.001, and I could do that forever, right? And then all the way up to 6, so infinitely many. A typical high schooler consumes 67.5 pounds of sugar per year. As part of a new nutrition plan, each member of a track team plans to lower the sugar by at least 20%. Okay, so this is a percent problem. And there's a few different ways you could do this. Right? You could figure out what 20% of 67.5 is and subtract it off. Great, great way. Another way is if it's 20% off, that means it's what percent left of it? 80%. So you just take that 67.5 and figure out what 80% of that is, because that'd be 20% off of it. And it gets you the same thing with one less extra step. So let's do it that way. The 67.5 times our percent as a decimal, which 80% would be 0.80. And we get 54, which is option D. Okay. Oh, and we want the fourth. So this is a distance problem. We want to make this equidistance. So let's see if I could do this in my head without drawing it out. So to get from this one to this one, our x went up 3. So if our x goes up 3, it'd be 9. Oh, nope. If our x goes up 3, it'd be 3. This should say -6. No, it shouldn't. No, it shouldn't. That's our x value. Okay, so our x goes from -1 to 2. So it did go up 3. So yeah, it would go up 3 to 9. I was right about that part. I'm confusing myself. And then for our y goes from -1 to 1. So our y is going up 2. So if our y goes up 2 from -5, we get -3, which we kind of already knew because J was the only option with 9, but always double check, especially on the ACT. So then you could hit answer. Incorrect. Moving 3 units left means subtracting 3 from the x value. Oh, so this is actually a really messed up question because you don't know if it's supposed to line up with, like, you don't know if this dot is lining up with this so that the other dot would be here. Like, that's how I just solved it, right? They're saying this dot goes with this here. So then our fourth dot would be over here. So we'd be going backwards. So I went from 2 to -1. So I went -3, which -3 from 6 would be 3. And then I went from 1 to -1. So I went -2. -5 minus 2 would be -7. So it would actually be F. However, I stand by that J would also work because they'd be lined up. So, tricky one in there for you guys. Let's just skip 2 and go straight to 3. Again, if there's a specific one you would like to see, go ahead and comment that. This is really blurry, huh? It is what it is. It's a practice, right? And we can only get better from here. That's the hope. Okay. Let me see. Set 3. Let's move on. What is the degree measure of the acute angle formed by the hands of a 12 clock that reads exactly clock? Okay, so a 12-hour clock obviously has 12 places on it, 12 sections as well. And so if it's at 1 o'clock, that would just be one of those sections, right? If it's at 12 and 1, that's just one section. If it was at like 12 and 4, that'd be 4 sections, etc. But it's just one section. We know a circle, or we should know a circle is 360 degrees. And if that's split into 12 little sections, we're going to divide that by 12 to find out that each section would be 30 degrees. So that one section would be 30 degrees. What is the probability that a number selected at random from this set will be divisible by both 2 and 3? So first of all, you have to decide how many of these numbers are divisible by both 2 and 3. 2, it's divisible by 2, but not 3. 3, divisible by 3, but not 2. 7, not divisible by either. 12, divisible by 2 and 3. 15, also divisible by 2 and 3. 22, not divisible by 2 and 3. 72, it's even, so it's divisible by 2. If I add up the digits, 7 plus 2 is 9, which is divisible by 3, so it is divisible by 2 and 3. And then 108, it's even, so it is divisible by 2. And if I add up the digits, 1 plus 0 plus 8, I get 9, which is divisible by 3. So it is also divisible by 3. So I have 4 out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers that are divisible by both 2 and 3. Was that right? 12, 15, 72, and 108. What? From the set will be divisible by 2 and 3. I would say 4 out of 8. But that's not an option. So now I'm like contemplating my life. Hold on. Okay, we will come back to that because it's not going to let me select it till I select all of these. And why does it tell me? Okay, we will come back to that one. So a circle has a circumference of 16 pi. What is the radius of the circle in feet? So the formula for circumference is 2 pi r. Um, so if I divide off the pi, then it's just 2r equals 16, and then divide both sides by 2. I get that our radius is 8. A rectangle with a perimeter of 30 is twice as long as it is wide. What is the area of the rectangle? Okay, so it has a perimeter of 30. So I'm going to set up an equation for that because it says it's twice as long as it is wide. So that means our width times 2. So 2w equals our length. But then we also know that our perimeter, so 2 of our widths plus 2 of our lengths is going to equal 30. So then if I just sub in to W for my length, we get 2W plus 4W was 30. So I get 6W is 30, so that our width is 5. So if our width is 5, that means our length must be 10. All right, which would make sense. If I add up those sides, 5 and 10 plus 5 and 10, I get 30. But we want to know the area, which area is just multiplying length times width. So 5 times 10, we would get 50. Okay, so number 5, what are the coordinates of the midpoint? We want the middle of the x's and the middle of the y's. So in between -3 and 7, you could add those up. So -3 plus 7 is 4, divided by 2 is 2. And then same thing with our y's, 0 plus 4 is 4, divided by 2 is 2. So option A, 2, 2. Okay, moving on to 6. I have a long one. The distance from B to C is twice the distance of A to B. So this one I would draw out a picture. I'm not going to do that since I don't have the best way to do that right now. I'm going to just select that for now because I really want to go back to that one problem and figure out like what is going on in my brain. That is so annoying. I'm just going to select a random one for these last couple of ones. Because then I can also show you guys that when I do this and when I fill them all out and I hit answer, it's going to tell me, right, if I got it right, it'll just say correct. You can drop down and it'll specifically tell you how you could have worked that problem out. But then it'll also tell you if you got it wrong and like some things to think about to try to go back and do that problem. So really great resource linked down in the description box. Um, the number has a 2 or 3 in it. 12, 72, and 108. Oh, yeah. 15 is not divisible by 2. It's divisible by 3. Oh my gosh, I wish I had some people in here. So you guys could have helped me figure that out quicker because I repeated it I don't know how many times, and I still kept saying 15 divisible by 2 and 3. Okay, so that's why it's not 4 out of 8, it's 3 out of 8, right? The 12, 72, and 108. 15, and I was even like 15, 1 plus 5, that's 6, which is divisible by 3. It's not even. It's not divisible by 2. Okay, cool. So that's another um, thing to show you that you can completely do this on your own, right? You can make a mistake and be like, "Well, what did I do? I don't understand. Like, what's going on?" And then you can mess with it and you can figure it out. And I promise you, I will never forget that mistake. And I would definitely will not, I would not make it if I were to take the real thing, right? That's the point of doing these practice ACTs is to get all those silly errors out of the way, um, and be fully prepared as much as you can for the real thing. Okay, well, let's move on to step four. Look at a few from here, and I'm probably going to call it a night just because for my live sessions in the future, I would like to have participants. Um, so I will be promoting those in the future, and they will be more um, viewer based. So as I get questions that come in, I will answer those live. Um, it works pretty well on TikTok. I This is my first time ever doing a live on YouTube, so I really don't know how these things will work. It looks like I do actually have a couple people watching now, which is cool. I wasn't really sure what to expect. I swear when I go live on TikTok, I'll like have a few viewers, and then all of a sudden it'll be like 500 people, and I'm like, whoa! And then these comments are coming in, and it gets a little overwhelming. So I really like the idea of being able to do that on here because one, I can save it, people can go back and use that as a resource. But also, two, there's a lot of features on here that I'm not able to do. So, for example, this is just turning into my little soapbox of why you guys should join me next Monday so I can help you with your math homework. Um, but one of the features I think would come in handy is, let me show you guys figure out how to do this stuff a little quicker too for you guys. So there's comments and there's a way to do video comments. Here we go, QR code. And okay, so when I just put this up on the screen, you guys could just scan that and take a video. So it could just be like a 10-second video of your math problem so you don't have to type it out into the comments. Or if it's like a graph or a picture or something that's not really easy to put into the YouTube comments, you can just take a video of it, send it to me, I'll display it and work through that problem. Um, so that's something I could do on TikTok. On there, I would have people have to message me on Facebook, so go to a separate location. So I think it'd be really cool to do my tutor sessions on here with this. Um, Let me try turning on my emoji rain. This is the other feature I really like. I don't know what it's going to do to my shared screen, but now I think if you put um, emojis in. Let me try. I think I got to go over here and do it. Yep, I'll do. Let's see if it works. Oh, there he comes. So as you guys put emojis in there, they will fall down. Okay, we got some fire. Thank you very much. Those will kind of come down. I think that's a super interactive way. I could say, like, if you think it's this, put the fire, this, put a smiley or whatever, and then we could see how many fires and how many smileys we get, or just for funsies. Um, so yeah, there's some cool features on here, and I would like to have it be like a more regular thing to where people are expecting it, and so I have more people in here looking for some math help, and I'm able to provide that. Okay, let me get back to turn the emoji rain off. And I'm going to do a couple more problems from here. And then, like I said, I'm going to call it a night just because I did not announce this on anything. I just purely wanted to um, practice going live on YouTube since I never have. And the last time I tried, it did not work. So I got really discouraged and was like, I'm just not gonna do it. And then I was like, okay, you can't just have one trip up happen and then just give up on it, right? That's a lesson for life. You can't just mess up one time and then just never try again if it's something you truly care about, and truly want to try. And I would love to try using Opus to stream to TikTok. I just know that there's like, I'd have to do, I'm not really sure how I do that. So I just have to do a little more research. But I do really like that idea because if they could use those features in it, that would be awesome. And you guys know the views on TikTok are just a bit better than here over on YouTube. But I didn't like preface this with anything. I didn't tell anyone I was really doing this. I did put it on my account like yesterday or maybe 2 days ago, but I don't know how much people actually see that like scheduled content. Where yeah, on TikTok it just seems to go really fast. I get a lot of questions and stuff, and so yeah, if I could do the same thing over there, I probably prefer that. I just got to figure out how to do that. Okay. And then the other thing is normally when I do TikTok, I won't be able to really see this that well. I just use this thing here to portray my phone over my iPad so that they can see me as I'm working it out instead of having to like hold it up and show it. Um, so yeah, like being able to stream my iPad screen onto it would be another thing that would be extremely beneficial. And I thought I found a loophole of using like QuickTime Player and then having this plug into it and then displaying the screen on there and then just sharing the screen. Um, but no, that did not work. So I will have to try to figure out something else for that some other time. Okay, we'll go over to these since I did 1 through 6 on those other ones. We'll do this is set 4. And we're going to look at number 7. And again, the links for all of these are down in the description box. So I have a video over every single set. And if you would like to check those out, the links for those are in the description box below. So a neighborhood recreation program serves a total of 280 children who are either 11 or 12 years old. The sum of the ages are 3,238. How many 11-year-old children does the recreation program serve? Okay, so I'm going to come up with 2 different equations for this. So first of all, I'm going to call my 11-year-olds X and my 12-year-olds Y. Right? We just got to pick any variable for them so that I can make these equations. We know if we add them up, so if I add X plus Y, my 11-year-olds plus the number of 12-year-olds I have, not their age, but how many of them there are, it's going to equal 280. They also give us the sum of their ages. So if I were to not just add them up, but add up all of their ages, so I'm going to be taking all of my X's times 11 since they're 11 years old. I'm going to be taking all my Y's times 12 since they're 12 years old, and then adding those up. And that should equal 3,238. Okay, so looking like this. Remember, X is representing our 11-year-olds, Y is representing our 12-year-olds. Together, there's 280 of them, and their ages, that's that 11X plus 12Y, gets us the 3,238. Okay, from here, I could really do this, either solve for X or Y, right? X plus Y, I just either have to subtract off X or subtract off Y. I'm going to subtract off Y. Oh, wait, what am I actually trying to figure out? How many 11-year-old children's 11-year-old children there are. See, live also makes me realize I say things sometimes, and I'm just like, "What? What did you just say? Children's? Okay." Okay, so I'm gonna solve this. for, we want to know how many 11-year-olds. So I'm going to keep this in terms of the 11-year-olds, the x's. So I'm going to get rid of y. So we know that x is 200 and what was it? 80 minus y. So then whenever there's, oh, actually, if I'm wanting to solve for that, then I'd want it the other way around. So I'm going to subtract off x. This is just going to save me one last step at the end, but during the ACT, it's got to be all about skipping as many steps and doing them as quickly as possible while staying accurate. And let's see, we have, okay, so then we just, instead of y, we replace it with the 280 minus x. I'll show you guys here in a second what that looks like. So you see that first equation, I just made it in terms of y, so y equals 280 minus x. And then in my second equation, instead of y, I replaced it with that 280 minus x. So then I'm going to have to distribute that 12 out. So got my calculator. 12 times 280 is going to get us 3,360 minus 12x. All right, so this is what it looks like when we've distributed it out. Now it's just an equation that we're going to solve. So if we combine our like terms, so 11x and negative 12x, we actually end up with a negative x. And then I'm going to subtract off that 3,360, which also gives me a negative number, which since my x is negative, that does make sense. If it wasn't, it's not going to really make sense to have negative children, right? But we have negative x is negative 122. So that means positive x would equal positive 122, which is our option B. Okay. So these problems, as you go on, they do get a little more difficult and take a little bit more time. So you might have noticed in set one, those questions were like pretty quick. They were, pre-algebra, maybe algebra 1 level. Now we're getting to like some geometry, some more complex algebra, some algebra 2, and then set 5 obviously is the hardest, which again, link down below. If you just want to look at the hardest one, set 5 is the one you want to view for that. Okay, so we've got these 4 semicircles, and we know that the diameter of each of those is 10, meaning the length of this square is also 10. And we want the total area, okay? So first of all, that middle part is 10 by 10, so that would be 100 right there. Then we have these semicircles, which the area of a circle is found by taking pi times the radius squared, which if the diameter is 10, the radius is half of that. So 5 squared is 25 pi. So that would be our area of one of the circles, right? They're semicircles, so they're cut in half. So that takes up 2 of the semicircles, but then there's another 2. So we have 25 pi plus 25 pi, right? That'd be the 2 full circles or 4 semicircles, and then plus the 100 from the middle. And we get about 257-ish. So looking like H 260. Okay. Ooh, we've got some trig here. So like I said, we're getting a little more difficult as we go, right? I'm getting into some trig problems. So with trig problems, always remember SOHCAHTOA, sine is the opposite in hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent in hypotenuse, tangent is opposite and adjacent. Okay, so let me see if I can zoom in on this even a little more. Okay, so we want the closest approximation to the height. Let me get over here. The height. All right, and we are given this angle. If we want the height, that would be opposite. And we're also given this piece, right? Because if this whole thing's 30, this half piece, that'd be 15. Okay, so that is this is hypotenuse, opposite, adjacent. So we're want to find opposite, we're given adjacent. So that would be TOA, tangent is opposite over adjacent. So we'd have tangent of our angle, 20, equals our opposite, which we don't know, h, divided by um, the adjacent, which you want to say 30, but it's half of that, so 15. And then to then solve for your h, you'd have to divide by the 15. So you'd end up having tangent of that 20 degrees times 15, which is option A. Okay, I think I'm going to do one more. We'll do this one. This will be a nice and quick one. But as I said, I'm going to start going live on Monday evenings to help with homework. As of right now, the plan is to be on YouTube. However, if I figure out TikTok, how to do this on TikTok, it might end up changing to over there just because I have more interaction over there. But I will keep you all posted on that for sure. So x-intercept, if you're thinking about when something crosses that horizontal line, your x line, what is your y value? If it's crossing that very center line, that means your y has to be at 0, right? It can't be up here. It's not crossing that x line if it's up here. It can't be down here. It's not crossing that x line if it's way down here. It's got to be at 0. So I'm going to just replace y with 0 and then solve for x from there, which this is actually a quadratic, right? So what multiplies to give me a positive 4, but adds to give me a negative 4? Negative 2 and negative 2. So there's actually only one x-intercept, and it's at negative 2, so option A. I will say, if you are, not if you are allowed a calculator. You could just type in this into the graphing part, x squared minus 4x plus 4, and then find on your graph, you just have to know what x-intercept means, where it crosses your x-axis, and you can just find where it crosses that x-axis. So that is also an option, is using that graphing calculator whenever you're given a function like this, and then looking at it and using that knowledge and to solve it without actually really having to solve it. You're kind of letting your calculator do the work. I remember when I took the ACT, there were some where I just, you only have 60 minutes, you only have a little bit of time. You have about a minute per problem, and sometimes your brain just is like, I've never seen this in my life, I can't comprehend. Um, and my brain would just kind of like shut down, and I would look it up on the graphing calculator, and I'd be like, oh yeah, it looks like this. This is how this works, and it would just start clicking better. So that is a big key, I would say, to taking the ACT is make sure you have a good calculator that is allowed. They do have on that website what is and is not allowed. So make sure this is allowed, or whatever you have is allowed, because that would suck to get there and then not have anything at all to do even like basic math skills on. But graphing calculator definitely comes in handy. And thank you guys so much for everybody that joined today. If you like the lives on YouTube rather than TikTok, please comment that down below. So if you're someone that would like to have lives every Monday on YouTube, comment that down below. If you'd rather see it on TikTok, honestly, comment that down below too. Tell me where you'd rather see it, YouTube or TikTok, because I was fully set on just it being on YouTube, and now I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, thank you for joining me. If you have any questions, any math questions at all, go ahead and comment those. I answer questions daily over on my TikTok. So follow me over there, same as on here, Homemade Mathematics. Otherwise, thank you for joining. Thank you for watching this all the way through if you're still here. And I will see you next time.